Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful for me to hear the presentations of James and Becky. Even though we're collaborators in the project, we work independently, so it's wonderful to see where they've taken their projects in recent months. As you can see, as you will see, Becky and I have a lot of intellectual interest in common, and we also have the same taste in PowerPoint color scheme. It's a good coincidence. So my project is called 求福, Praying for Blessed Happiness, the social life of prayer in contemporary urban China. Let me see if I can move this. So my own background is in the sociology of religion. I've conducted historical research on how Confucianism became a world religion. I've conducted survey research. I was part of the empirical study of religions in China, funded by the Templeton Foundation, which surveyed 7,000 people in 50 different sites in China about their religious practice. I have also been studying the revival of Confucianism in contemporary China, focusing on rituals in Confucius temples. And this is my first book, which was published 2 years ago, actually, Confucianism as a world religion, Contextual Histories and Contemporary Realities. And this current project, The Pursuit of Blessed Happiness in Urban China, is a joint project, but we do our own individual fieldwork, and my own focus is on the social life of prayer. So I conduct in-depth interviews and observations in different religious settings in Shanghai and Beijing and Hong Kong, in fact, but my focus is in Shanghai, which includes sacred sites of Protestantism, Catholicism, Islam, Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism, as well as the so-called popular religions. I think those categories are often quite problematic, as Becky mentioned. The interviews centers on what people pray for and how they define happiness and a good life for themselves. During the period of our Templeton Grant, I've conducted over 100 interviews in over 20 religious sites in Shanghai, Beijing, and Hong Kong, with Shanghai as my main focus. So these are the sites where I've conducted interviews. As you can see, they include Protestant churches, including a home church, Catholic churches, Buddhist temples, Taoist temples, a Confucius temple, and 2 mosques. I've also conducted additional fieldwork in Hong Kong, in fact, Hong Kong and Macau, as well as Beijing, which I've only started. And I hope to do a bit more in the near future. So I want to give you a kind of a background to our project, which has a nickname that is Habits of the Heart in Contemporary China. So Robert Bellah and his collaborators, including Richard Madison, who is here as a member of our team, famously suggested there are 4 kinds of habits of the heart in American life. There's utilitarian individualism, the biblical moral language, expressive individualism, and civic republicanism. These are moral discourses that allow us to make sense of our lives, as well as telling stories of our lives as good or meaningful. So I suggest that there are 4 different major systems of meaning in contemporary urban China. There's a neoliberal language of the pursuit of individual self-interest and the privatization of risk. There's the ancient Confucian language of filial piety and familial devotion, which places the centrality of the family, relations between parents and children, between other family relations, and between oneself and one's ancestors above all other values. There's also the language of the reason to be, or the religious reason to be, which refers to the various religious values that inform people's narratives about the meaning and purpose of one's life. And the last one is a so-called official discourse of the common good offered by the Chinese government, and I shall not go into detail there. In terms of the language we use about happiness, as Becky mentioned, we have everyday language about good life. We also have, in fact, a political language about a good society. And I shall skip the part about the official discourse. And to say that Although China has undergone a tremendous change in the past 30 years in its transition into a thriving market economy, it can be argued that Confucian ethical discourse, especially of filial piety, has grown stronger rather than weaker. I think Becky's fieldwork really shows that as well. Indeed, one may speak of a rediscovery or renaissance of Confucian ethical values in the past 20 years. This Confucian ethical tradition governs the realm of family life and social relations, affecting people's conducts in everyday life, no matter what religious tradition they may follow. So this is what I suggested as the web of moral discourses of meaningful life that are shared by Chinese people today. So the social life of prayer in contemporary China. So my theoretical focus is the role of religion in the role of religion as well as prayer in the pursuit of happiness in China. So Max Weber speaks of the escape of the spirit of religion from modern capitalist practice. What we're left with is mere instrumental rationality and the desire to be successful in worldly terms. This can be called the maximizing impulse, which is arguably the driving force behind the rapid economic growth in China today. Is prayer and prayerful spiritual exercise countering this maximizing impulse? Is it offering a different understanding of success and happiness in an age of materialism and anxiety? When we consider the theoretical issues of the relation between prayer life and the formation of agency, it seems that there is a connection between spiritual exercises and one's ethical outlook and behavior. I believe a study of prayer will not only give an account of agency formation, but also offer insight into the tension between religion and capitalism. I'm actually going to skip the next few quotations, going back to 1909, Marcel Mauss's work on prayer, as well as William James' formulation of the importance of prayer, just to say that prayer has been central to the study of religion really from the beginning of the contemporary study of religion. We need to expand the definition of prayer in our understanding of Chinese religion. So this is a quote from the New York Times. A rabbi of Temple Beth Torah on Long Island has a formulation of the most common types of prayer. When you come right down to it, there are only 4 basic prayers: give me, thanks, oops, and wow. Our prayers of praise and wonder the creation, wow are prayers of praise. Ops is asking for forgiveness, gave me is a request or petition, and thanks is expressing gratitude. That is the entire Judeo-Christian doxology. That's what we teach our kids in religious school. But in the Chinese context, prayers, I think, take a more diverse form, as you will see. So I argue also prayer is a social action. It connects the divine with others in prayer as well as a self. It's an interaction, embodied, metaphysical as well as social. So here are some of the sample interview questions about prayer. When, where, and to whom people pray, how often and how long do they pray, what objects are present, items for blessings, items as sacrifice, items as donation, items to be burned, etc. How is prayer embodied? Do people follow a liturgy or improvised prayer? How do people learn how to pray? What do people pray for? Do people pray differently when they pray to different deities? How do people evaluate the effect of prayer? How do people pray for the self versus for the others? Do people pray for individuals or for groups? As well as a connection between prayers and other forms of spiritual exercise. You may ask, do the Chinese pray? If you look at survey data on religious life in China, if you ask a question whether they are a member of a religion, you get very low numbers across board. So this is from the Spiritual Life Survey of Chinese Residents conducted by Horizon 2007. I was part of the team that made this, that actually came up with a survey. It's funded by the Templeton Foundation. And you see that 16.7% of the people say they're Buddhists, 0.3% Taoists, 0.2% Confucian, which is 12 people out of 7,000 interviewed. and then 0.2 Catholics, 0.4 Muslims, and I don't believe in anything, that is 78.1%. And this is quite common among, these figures are quite common among surveys of Chinese religion. However, if you look at practice, you get very different numbers. So in the same survey, we ask, in the past year, which ones of the following activities did you participate in? Visit ancestors' graves and conduct ancestral veneration, 67.6%. And if you look at the survey, you see that if you look at towards the end of this, you see only 25.3% of people did not attend any religious activity, did not participate in any religious activity in the past year. And men and women, in fact, participate equally, including in ancestral veneration, ancestral rites. So key findings in the 2000 Horizon survey also include the fact that while 78% of the respondents report not believing in anything, the data show that only 25% of them have no religious activity during the past year. And only 57% of the respondents report that they do not believe in the existence of God or gods. So let me show you some pictures from my fieldwork on prayer life across religious traditions. This is during the Chinese New Year in the City God Temple in Shanghai. This is a family making offerings to Tai Sui, the god that is in charge of good fortunes in the new year. There's a different Tai Sui for each year in the 12-year cycle of the Chinese calendar, and this family comes to this temple to make this offering every year. And when I asked them, should I do this as well? I said, is this God Ling? Is this God really helping you? Should I do this as well? They said, no, you don't have to. My family have a relationship with this God. 我们家信这个神. So we have a relationship with this God, so we ask this God for blessings. You may have other gods you have a relationship with, and you can ask other gods. This is a midnight ritual to celebrate the birthday of the god of fortune on the 5th of the Lunar New Year. As you can see, it was an incredibly popular ritual, and you see people of all ages and social backgrounds participating. This is a Protestant church in Shanghai. These are actually people writing wishes on cards, actually for the new year as well. And this is a sacred Catholic mountain, Sheshan, Shengshan, where people go on a pilgrimage, including this family I interviewed who have a young daughter with a long-time illness, so they've made a wish to go to this mountain every year for 3 years to ask for blessings. So people stop at every station of the cross on their way up the mountain and say prayers for about 10 minutes at each station of the cross. So it takes about 2 hours to get up to the top if you do the prayers. And this is a mass in the church on the mountain. It's an 8 a.m. mass, and it was full. And as you can see, actually women are a participant more frequently in those morning masses. This is a women's mosque in Shanghai. You can see this is a Quran study session with an imam. And after the Quran study session, they go upstairs to this woman's, in this woman's mosque to pray individually. And this is a Buddhist temple, Longhua Si, where people go during all kinds of festivals and holidays. Young people go there to pray whenever they have a wish. But this is a woman who is actually someone who is officially converted to Buddhism. So she goes at least twice a month, and she's more serious in her practice and chanting of Buddhist sutra. This is another Buddhist temple in central Shanghai. This is an urban temple, and lots of death rituals are being performed here. This is a death anniversary ritual for an engineer who passed away the year before. And so about 8 monks conduct this ritual together along with a family. The extended family was about 20 people. The rites take about 4 hours to complete, and it costs about $800. And these rituals are very popular. Very often in this temple you see 3 or 4 sets of death anniversary rituals being conducted at the same time. Symbolically, the head of the death ritual, the symbolic lead mourner, is a son of the deceased, and he's actually a college student in Germany who went back to Shanghai for this specific purpose. But it was in fact organized and run by his mother and aunts. Another death anniversary ritual in a Taoist temple. These are women who are part of a Taoist group in a small city outside of Shanghai, and here they are praying in a Taoist temple. So I asked them, why are you here in this Taoist temple? They said, it doesn't matter. It's a great temple, and we don't mind praying in this temple at all. So you see very, very frequently people across religious boundaries in their prayer life. It is very common for people to pray in different temples of different religious traditions, Taoist, Buddhist, or Confucian, without making any fuss about it. In fact, I interviewed a Taoist monk, and I said, Taoist priest, and I said, have you ever prayed in a Buddhist temple? And he said, yes, all the time. And in fact, I've seen Buddhist monks pray in our temple. This is another death ritual in a Taoist temple. I shall skip it. These are prayer offerings in the Confucius Temple in Beijing. Xufu Confucius Temple. Again, children learn to participate from an early age, as you can see also in Becky's fieldwork. More Confucius Temple prayers. This is a woman returning to the Confucius Temple in Shanghai to thank Confucius in helping her daughter fulfilling her wish to attend her top choice of medical school. So this is her sending Confucius a thanks, and she actually received texts from text blessings from the temple during the exam period for her daughter. I want to show you a few more pictures of the return of ancestral rites, which is, and this is a picture that Becky showed as well. It's a news photo of Tom sweeping during a Qingming festival. But what I've discovered is that ancestral rites, the prayers and offerings to ancestors, are conducted not only on Qingming festival, but throughout the year. There are 4 major holidays during which ancestral rites are performed. There's the Lunar New Year. There's a day of grave sweeping, Qingmingjie. There's a mid-July festival, Ghost Festival. And in the south, there's also the winter solstice, which is a major ancestral rites date. And of course, the Lunar New Year's Eve. So I use the notion of the ritual calendar, the Fasti, to look at this revival of ancestral rites. So here's the summary of my preliminary findings. Ancestral rites are performed by people across board, although there are great variations, especially among Christians and Muslims. And yes, they also perform ancestral rites. Rites including grave veneration, burning paper money, burning incense and candles, and offering food and drinks. Ancestral rites, especially home sacrifice, are transmitted through family tradition, both oral and practical. People also learn through observing the practice of others. And there's no longer a strict division between men and women in conducting ancestral rites. Women participate as much as men and sometimes lead, both in rituals and financial contribution. And great importance is placed on one's attachment and duty to jiaren, one's immediate family members. This is also the unit of home ancestral rites. The order of closeness is parents and grandparents, children, spouse, siblings, and others don't count in the same way. And an overwhelming majority of Chinese people I interviewed so far take the ritual calendar seriously, and the most important ones involving ancestral sacrifice. So rituals matter and prayers matter because they are processes through which social relations are created. They're symbolic performances, they produce emotional energy, and as Robert Waller and others have argued, ritual and sincerity are coexisting, sometimes conflicting modes of religious life, and ritual is meaning-making work. So what can prayers do? They bring people physically together, creating strong social ties. The unit of people gathered together is the unit of collectivity, the extended form of the self. Prayers create hierarchy and is fluid in nature. These hierarchies are not rigid. And sacrifice is a gift, maintaining ritualized action. And prayer and prayer time can be central to the maintenance of social order. And the current ritual calendar is dominated by Confucian ancestral rites. And xin, the term people often use to denote belief, is in fact not belief in many cases, but trust. Trusting the relationship with the deity and with others being performed through prayers. So the social meaning of xin is routinely translated as belief, as in 我信上帝. But the real meaning in prayer life is more about having a trustful relationship with God or the gods. It is about trust, as in I trust my parents. For many, especially when in prayer, there are moral commands and values that are rooted in the presupposition of higher forces regulating human behaviors, be they Buddhist karma or Confucian ancestral rites, ancestral beliefs or values, even when they may not be able to articulate a clear theology. These are sacred values and beliefs shared by people who may not belong to a particular religion, but nevertheless are strong reasons for one to act morally. I suggest that these values and beliefs, internalized as moral commands, may be the foundation of the only conceivable moral system for China today. This is perhaps the reason why people seek happiness and a meaningful life through prayers. And this is our prayer team taking a selfie in the subway in Shanghai. Thank you.